Summerslam 2024. A little ditty from the World Wrestling Entertainment. Happened a few days ago. Lots of title changes, lots of storyline payoffs, a lot of continuations of stories. Jelly Roll was there. It's a whole thing. Lots going on, but was it a good show? Well, gee whiz, I don't know. Let's get into it and find out right here on the Apron Bump Podcast. Yeah.
It's the hardest. Talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what heart is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock this. Let's get started.
Howdy, neighbors. How the hell are you? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Apron Bump Podcast. I am your host, the hardest part of the ring, Kyle. What's going on? How's everybody's weekend, huh? Everybody enjoy the slammy summers? The summer of slams? No sharks were F5'd. That's the only... Whenever I think of SummerSlam, I think of fucking 2003. I think of Sable naked with the SummerSlam logo hiding her genitals. I think of Brock Lesnar, her husband, F5'ing a shark on the beach. So pretty much that family I think of. I don't think of Cleveland, Ohio. That's for fucking sure. Oh, Cleveland. It's a stupid sounding city. Get rid of it. Let's just get rid of it. I mean, I covered the last Cleveland SummerSlam, 1996. I just covered on the podcast not too long ago, and I don't think that was very good either. So... No, I actually did enjoy SummerSlam this past weekend. It was a fine show. It was very and we'll get into the matches. This is going to be a very free-flowing show, by the way. We're not going to get into every single nook and cranny of every one of the matches. We're going to go through the card. I'm going to give you my thoughts, and if you don't like it, well, tough noogies, as they say. Pardon my French. But yes, we come from Cleveland, Ohio. SummerSlam. I have a few overall thoughts here, right? The show was good, like I said. It was fine. The bell-to-bell wrestling, quote unquote, and we'll get into what is wrestling, right? But, you know, the action in between the bells, the moves, the selling, the punches, the sweat, the blood, the semen, all of that in between those ding, ding, dings. You know what I'm saying? It was okay. I think maybe there were a few high spots, I think. And like I said, we'll get into the matches, but just kind of giving my top down, high level view of the entire show. From an in-ring perspective, I liked Gunther and Damian Priest. I thought that was probably the match of the night. You know, just quick, again, strictly speaking, you know, the nuts and bolts of the matches. I loved Damian and Gunther. LA Knights and Logan Paul was probably a close number 2. Everything else was kind of hinged on the storytelling elements, the plot armor, the dialogue, the turns, the run-ins, the shenanigans. And if you've been listening to the Apron Bump, you've heard me cover, you know, old school TNA and WCW and Ruthless Aggression. You know that I like the shenanigans, and I did like a good amount of the shenanigans on this show. Which overall is why I liked the show, because this all plays a part. I've seen people, we'll just get into it now. This has been going on for years, right? Like, this is not a new thing. I just want to confront this right now. Open your ears, close your eyes. I don't know if that helps you digest this, but close your eyes, open your ears, open your mouth, and listen to me. Listen to these words. Pro wrestling is sports entertainment, comma, sports entertainment is pro wrestling. Pro wrestling, sports entertainment are the same fucking thing. let's take a step back. Let's take a let's zoop. Let's zorp out of Cleveland for a second. Let's come up into the skies with me for a second. Let's just take a step back. Take a deep breath. Stop throwing things at me. Put your D batteries away. Don't throw those at my head. Listen to me. Pro wrestling. We're all pro wrestling fans, right? I'm assuming if you're listening to this, you're a pro wrestling fan. Or maybe you're just looking for, when you have a pregnant belly, it's called an apron bump. Maybe you're a very confused pregnant woman. I don't know. But I'm assuming most of you are pro wrestling fans. We can all accept that, right? We all love pro wrestling to varying degrees. We might love certain things about pro wrestling more than others. We might have different views on what makes pro wrestling good or bad or whatever the hell. And that's fine, by the way. Not everyone has the same opinion on a thing. That's what makes the conversation so interesting, right? But pro wrestling, let's just take a look at this overall concept of pro wrestling. It is scripted combat. It is simulated combat with predetermined finishes. We have people going out there in their underwear with baby oil, lots of glitter, and for whatever reason, there's pyro behind them. It's fucking silly. Pro wrestling is silly. Okay? It's goofy. It's great. It's an amazing form of storytelling when done well, but it's fucking silly. We're all silly for watching it, and that's okay, right? As a pro wrestling fan, I'm obviously not talking down to pro wrestling fans because I am one, but it's a goofy medium for storytelling. It's very entertaining, but it's goofy. Pet coon goofy, as JR would say, which I'm not sure is politically correct. But that being said, right? So, how about we stop trying to have this superiority complex about ourselves in terms of what we enjoy about pro wrestling? Look, I've seen people on Twitter, or whatever the fuck, it's Twitter, okay? It's not X, it's Twitter. I've seen people on Twitter be like, oh, I watched Collision as a palate cleanser for SummerSlam because Collision gave me the wrestling, whereas WWE, they give me the sports entertainment. Oh my God, if I had a fucking dime for every time I've seen... If you're a WWE fan, you're not a pro wrestling fan. You're a sports entertainment fan. You don't love real wrestling. You don't love the stuff that's for the sickos. Man, I've heard people that I'm friends with in this space say that, whatever, Japan, Mexico, AEW, whatever, real quote unquote graps. Like, oh, this wrestling, this is for the grown-ups. WWE's for the kiddos. It's for the silly geese. WWE. I'm gonna be over here watching people forearm trade for 10 minutes. That's for the grown-ups. That's for the sophisticated palate. We all watch pro wrestling. It's fucking dumb. None of it's sophisticated. Fuck. It's people in their undie pants grappling each other. I'm Irish whip you. I'm gonna take you by your wrist and lead you this way. That makes you run 10 feet and bounce off ropes and come back to me. It's all dumb. We're all dumb. None of it's sophisticated. You're not better for watching some other form of pro wrestling than the other. You're not better for watching people chop each other and do poison ranas and elbows and fucking whatever the hell. It's all silly. We all have different tastes, and that's okay. You're not better for watching a certain type of wrestling than somebody else. Okay? I'm not even totally sure how we got there, but I've seen a lot of that because this kind of all stems from. It doesn't stem specifically from this, but I saw a Dave Meltzer tweet. Don't turn this off. Just a brief Dave Meltzer. I don't often like to talk about Dave Meltzer. I think he's fine for what he is, right? He can compile stats. He can give his opinions. He can give his fun little star ratings. I think people get worked up about that's a whole different podcast. I don't have this hatred for Dave Meltzer that a lot of people have. I just really don't pay him no mind most of the time. However, he had, let me even pull it up to make sure I have it right here. Well, I'll say this. He has me blocked on X. I don't remember why. I've been blocked by him for years. But somebody else quoted him, which I'm assuming Wrestle Talk TV is where I saw it. I'm assuming this is the correct quote. If this is misquoted or if there's context, I don't think there's any other context needed, but just laying that out there, right? It's kind of secondhand. But this is a quote from Wrestle Talk from Dave Meltzer. So Dave Meltzer said this, quote, "It was an angle show. If you were watching the show to see great wrestling, it wasn't that." And that's pretty much the gist. That's at least relevant to what I'm trying to say here. So it's an angle show. There was not great pro wrestling, is what he's saying. It was an angle show. Not great pro wrestling. Let me say that one more time. Great angles, not great pro wrestling. Hey, dildo, angles are pro wrestling. Here are some things that are pro wrestling. Angles, storylines, promos, video packages, entrances, intermatch dialogue, the actual grappling of the matches, the post-match, run-ins. All of this is pro wrestling. This gets back to the what's real pro wrestling. There's no such thing as real pro wrestling, asshole. Angles are right. This is a part of wrestling. It's what made wrestling explode in the 90s. The angles. The matches fucking sucked in the Attitude Era. It was all about the hoopla that surrounded everything that made the product so hot. Now, of course, the product evolves with time and pop culture and all of that, right? Of course. But the core concept of these storyline pivots, these major interrelationships between the talent involved. This is all what makes wrestling great. Now, if you don't like that stuff, there's places where you can watch just pure wrestling. You go to New Japan. They don't do any angles, right? Click, click, Bullet Club. Didn't Tai Chi have some sort of gauntlet that cursed his opponents or something? Oh, but AEW, they don't do angles on their pay-per-views. Yeah, how's the Undisputed Kingdom doing? How's that payoff? I love AEW too. This isn't a WWE AEW thing. I want to make that perfectly clear. I love AEW. In fact, I probably watch more AEW on a weekly basis than current WWE. But they do the same shit. It's a different flavor. It's the same shit. So but back to this Dave Meltzer tweet. Great angles, not great wrestling. There were great angles, and I know what he means by not great wrestling, right? It's kind of echoing what I said earlier. The bell-to-bell stuff kind of left some to be desired. There was some good stuff, but this show is mostly reliant on the angles. But that's fine. Might not be your taste. That's fine. But I enjoyed it. And it's a perfectly valid way to produce a pay-per-view. So that's just kind of my overall coming out of this, seeing the discourse. I hate the word discourse, by the way. It's so over fucking used. But it's just the conversations, the communication among people online after the show. That was kind of the lingering thought, debates, whatever you want to call it. But the show itself. So let's get into the show. I'm gonna stop yelling at people talking about the show. I'm gonna start getting into the show, which is probably what you, maybe what you tuned in for. Who knows? SummerSlam 2024. Actually, no, I'm not done yelling at people online. There are people online. Why is everybody have sand in their vagina about the 3-hour pre-show? Who gives a shit? There's no matches. There's no advertised matches. You know what it is. You know it's just bullshit interviews. You know it has no bearing on the actual show. You don't need to watch it. Who gives a shit? Have it on in the background as you're, pulling your pud or whatever you do on Saturday afternoons. Or don't watch it at all. I didn't watch a second of it and I didn't miss anything. How dare they have a 3-hour pre-show? Where are they just trying to compete with Collision? Shut up. What is the overlap between people who watch WWE pre-shows and people who watch Collision? If you have that Venn diagram, those circles ain't touching. No tips touching there. Relax. It's not always about fucking Tony Khan. It's SummerSlam. It's a big fucking deal. They're going to make it 2 nights next year, probably. People are filing in. They have the access, whatever the hell. I don't know. Who cares about the fucking pre-show? And then adjacent to that, you got people like, God, SummerSlam was 8 hours long and there was only fucking this amount of minutes of wrestling. 8 hours long, huh? Interesting, because I watched the entire show on Sunday in 3.5 hours. Funny how I just happened to skip most of the show and somehow consumed all of the content. Interesting how that happens. I will say, though, as long as we're talking about the pacing of these shows, the length of the shows. So I watched it Sunday night as opposed to Saturday night. Was out of town Saturday. Was at the lake, which if you're watching on YouTube is why I have a bright pink forehead. But came back Sunday afternoon, turned this bad boy on Sunday evening. And the replay, like I said, is about 3.5 hours. Easy, even within that 3.5 hours, there's some commercials and other bullshit that you can skip through, right? I saw Otis shaving his belly with a Manscaped razor. I watched that. I didn't skip that at all, and I don't regret not skipping it. I liked it. I liked it a lot. But the pacing of these shows, when the experience of watching modern day TKO pay-per-views is not good. Watching live is abysmal because either you watch. Here's the thing, because with Peacock, we're watching this on Peacock, right? You have the choice of having Peacock Premium or not having Peacock Premium. If you don't have Peacock Premium, the whole experience is fucking abysmal because instead of the video packages, you get these mindless ads. So many ads. Not only is there ads on the ring mat and the barricade and the little ticker headers and whatever you call them, everywhere, just splooted everywhere all over the arena. Now we got to watch a sitcom's length of ads in between matches. It's ridiculous. It's like watching just TV. I'm surprised they don't have the picture-in-picture on these PLEs. It's only a matter of time. But hardest part of the ring, just get Peacock Premium. Well, I do have Peacock Premium. And watching after the fact, if you don't watch live, you don't get the video packages before the matches. Which that might be contradictory to what I'm saying because my problem is there's too much time in between matches. In between bells, there's way too much time. Not even in between bells, just in between like segments. Like the end of the match to the beginning of the entrances to the next match. It's too long. Because the entrances, like people like to pretend like that wastes time. No, it's a part of the fucking deal, right? It's a part of the spectacle. Commentary lays out the story as everybody's coming out. Like it's a whole thing. It sets the tone. It's an on-ramp into the match. That's why shows like Rampage that start and it's just immediately wrestling. Like I don't give a shit about it. It's like going into sex with a flaccid dick into a wet vagina. It sucks. So, but yes, I watched it with Peacock Premium as I have, and there was no video packages, which is like, okay, it's not like a make or break thing, but it's like you suffer either way. Either you don't have Peacock Premium and you have to suffer through the ads, or you have it and you don't get the video packages, or the only option is to watch live with Peacock Premium. But what if you fucking can't? You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, I don't know. I just think the overall pacing of these shows lately has been terrible. I watched what was the last show they did? I don't even remember. Money in the Bank. I watched that live, I think. I had a very bad time. It was just It's slogged. So much time. Too much time. They're not efficient with their time, is what I'll say. And like I said, they have the ads. I don't mind the ads on the ring mat. I was kind of worried that they would just have this one bright blue Prime bottle in the middle. That would have been an eyesore and that would have been awful. But they have them. It's just the muted black logo, and then they have some other logos in the corners. I think it actually looks better when there's more logos like spread throughout the mat because it looks fine. Like I didn't find myself paying attention to it. Boxing, UFC, New Japan, they all do it, right? It's fine. I don't mind it. I could do without the bright lime green shit on the barricades in the background, but whatever. We'll talk more about that, I guess. The stage, just more production kind of thoughts I had. Stadium shows. Let's talk about stadium shows for a second. How do we feel about stadium shows, gang? Usually visually, it looks great. If it's full. If it's a full house in a stadium, that is a great visual. If it's not, it's a bad visual. A lot of empty seats. Now, I'm not one of these guys that's like, oh, look at the attendance of this show. Let me snap a picture as I'm here live. Oh, lol, the tarps. Look at all the tarps. Lols. Like that side of Twitter, I wish I could just block out in like one click, but it's just seeped through like a cancer among the whole app. I can't avoid it. But that being said, the show, it didn't look great in my opinion. One, because of the attendance. Two, I didn't like the stage. I love the minimalist stages. You know, I particularly love like when they go to baseball stadiums and people come out of the dugout. I think that's the coolest look. I think Royal Rumble was like 2019, I think had that, right? The very minimalist stage. But SummerSlam and a lot of the shows recently they've done in these big arenas or big stadiums, they do this like tacky, I don't even call it, that they have LED screens and then this big open area for the wrestlers to walk in. It just makes them feel so small. Like it doesn't make them feel larger than life. It feels like when they come out, this is very nitpicky, I understand, but it just felt very tacky. It felt very like, it didn't make it feel like a grand spectacle. That's just me. I don't know. I like, if you're going to do minimalist. Do nothing. No screens. Just come out, have a wall of people behind you. Make the aisles narrow so that you're everybody's on top of you. It feels like this just tsunami of human beings. Whereas here it felt like you're just in like a city with people that happen to be hanging out around you. They may or may not be paying attention to you. It didn't feel great, in my opinion. I didn't like the stage. I didn't like. So when the sun went down, right? The crowd, you couldn't see the crowd, which made it feel even more small. Now I understand. I think it was during the Gunther and Damian Priest match. The crowd started chanting, "We can't see shit." So the light was obviously blinding them, which I think also happened at WrestleMania. So they got to figure that out. But yeah, you couldn't see beyond like the first 4 or 5 rows. So I don't know if there's 50,000 people or 50 people in the arena. Because the acoustics didn't suggest that there was more than 50 people. Barring a few moments, obviously like the Roman return, LA Knight got a good reaction out of everybody. A lot of the show, the energy was just down. Unfortunately. I don't know if that's a miking the crowd issue. I don't know if that's just the nature of stadiums. I understand stadiums, the sound travels up, so it's not as compact and it's not great acoustically. It never has been. You hear a lot of wrestlers talk in interviews how they don't particularly like wrestling in stadiums for that reason, because the sound travels up, and even if you're in the middle of the fucking ring, you can't really hear them, at least to the extent of the actual noise that they're making. So I'm not a huge stadium guy. I understand why they do them. This many people attended. Like that's what it comes down to. We're gonna have 50,000 people there. Okay, can I hear them? No. Yeah, I mean, I strongly prefer like a 20,000 seater arena than a 50,000 plus stadium, personally. But let's get into the matches, shall we? Now that we're like 25 minutes in or whatever. Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley for the Women's World Championship. The fine match. The match itself. Like this is one of these matches. This is gonna be a theme that hinged on the storytelling elements. Hinged on the involvement of an outside entity, that being Dominic Mysterio. Everybody going into this, the question wasn't, is Liv going to beat Rhea or is Rhea going to beat Liv? No, the question going into this was, is Dominic going to turn on Rhea or is he not? That was really what people were thinking watching this match. And unfortunately, like other matches in this card, it's like, why bother caring about the match itself when the real drama is the ending portion of it, or even the post-match portion of it. So unfortunately, I think the match suffered for that reason, as far as like the energy of the crowd or like the engagement of the crowd or whatever. It was a fine match. Rhea dominated in the beginning, looked like a monster, but then Liv rammed Rhea's shoulder into the post, calling back to the injury that Rhea suffered. Naturally, they called back to that. And I think the selling of the shoulder here was a bit corny. It's out! It's out! It's out! Okay, like, I understand the pain of a dislocated shoulder. I wrestled for a few months and dislocated my shoulder. Not to say that I understand Rhea. I never did it in a 50,000 seat arena, but it happens. It happens all the time to people. I'll tell you what I did not do when I dislocated my shoulder. I didn't run into the announce table to put it back into place. I didn't run into the turnbuckle to put it back in. I didn't. You know what I did? I took my hand and went, no, and then went back in. This fucking die hard acting where it's Gus, oh yeah, it's back in. Enough. Like, we got it. The first time she did it, I was like, all right, whatever. And then she did it a second time. It's like, enough. The match kind of slogged for that reason. It was basically built around those two, like her putting her shoulder back into place. And then Dominic Mysterio. I could do a whole podcast on Dom Mysterio, but all I'll say is that he is great. Dominic Mysterio is great at doing the bare minimum. This dude has no presence to him. Oh, he's the best heel in the company. Is he? Or did he just stumble into this position because of who his dad is? He's been booked well. He's been booked flawlessly to garner that reaction. Can you honestly say that Dom's skills have warranted the boos that he get? It's more of a meme, if nothing else, to boo Dominic Mysterio. It's fun. I love it. It comes off great on TV and it comes off great live. I've been there. I've booed Dom Mysterio live. But why don't we just take a step back on Dom? People are like, oh, Dom's the best heel ever. He's my goat. Fuck off. But Dom Mysterio, he turns on Rhea and sides with Liv, which is something that a lot of people theorized would happen here. How was the execution of it, though, is the question. Because Dom, initially, he took the chair away from Rhea, and a lot of people thought that was the turn. But no, it was because Dom didn't want Rhea to disqualify herself because you can't win the title that way. So it like not blue balled the audience. It kind of like it's like it's like a little bit of pre comes out, and you're like, no, I gotta stick it back in. Nobody likes that, right? Match continues. Dom takes this chair, slides it in the ring, distracts the ref, and Liv is able to hit her shitty little finisher on Rhea onto this chair. And that's the turn. I thought this turn was very lukewarm. I didn't think it was a great turn. I think they got to where they want to get, so it's fine. It's not going to hurt anything. I think this could have been done in a more obvious way. It could have been done in a more like striking way, like, oh, he turned on her. But no, it was like, oh, he did a thing. Wait, is that a turn? Oh, I saw him kind of smirk. I think he might. And then like 2 minutes goes by, they show replays there, and then they kiss, and it's like, oh, I guess that thing was a turn. It's like you're kind of like stretching out the reaction. You're stretching out the moment to the point where it's kind of diluted. Again, we're picking nits here. I'm a nitpicker, but I just thought that could have been done a bit better. And the match itself was fine. This was all just fine. It was fine. It got where it needed to go. So who cares? But whatever. But that's just the beginning of the Judgment Day tomfoolery here on this show. And we'll kind of wrap that up when we get to it. But first, we got Braun Breaker versus Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental Championship. I haven't been on here in a while to talk about the current product. These guys fought at Money in the Bank. I fucking hated it. I hated a lot of things about it. I hated that Braun lost. And I just don't love how Braun has been booked. I made a tweet about this a while ago, and my stance still stands. Braun Breaker is Goldberg. It seems like that's a lot of the inspiration behind his booking is Goldberg. Unfortunately, Braun appears to be 2004 Goldberg and not 1998 Goldberg, which in my opinion he should be. He should be killing folks. And I know he's not, he beat the shit out of Dragunov, and he's, beat up people ringside or whatever the hell. To me, he needs a little like something, right? It's like I compare him to Bobby Lashley. Both Braun and Bobby, menacing physiques, legit athletes, impressive from a physical standpoint in every metric, right? Stats are maxed out from a physicality standpoint. They should just decimate people. But I've always said this about Bobby Lashley. It's like when he runs at somebody and he gets to them and he like stops and he's just like a poof. Like watch his offense. Like he has this intensity behind him. He'll run at somebody and he'll just be like, like that's how he hits them. Just like kush. When it should be a kush. But it's just a kush. And Braun Breaker is kind of the same way. His strikes look shitty. Let's talk about his punches. His punches look fucking awful. I know he's kind of new still, but not really, though. He's been in the system for years. He's been in the PC. He should know how to throw a fucking punch. His forearms, his elbows, his lariats all look shitty. They're all, thankfully, he has the speed that leads up to it that oftentimes makes it look okay. But it's just like, that's just like, I feel like he should be just drilling through these guys, and it's just like a... He has a spear as a finisher, which fucking 87 other guys on the roster has, which he has a good spear, thankfully. But I feel like he's just capable of so much more from an offense standpoint. And I don't think he should be having these long, drawn-out matches. I don't think Braun Breaker should be having 50-50 matches, personally. I think this match is like, 5 or 6 minutes, so it wasn't even that long. Allegedly, if you listen to people online, it was supposed to be longer, which I'm glad it wasn't, if that's the truth. Because he should. I would have been perfectly fine if the bell rang, Braun sprinted at Sami, speared him, beat him. 5 seconds. I would have been fine with that. That's what Braun Breaker should be. He should be 98 Goldberg squashing people, not 2004 Goldberg fighting in 25-minute back and forth matches. Because what happens then? You just become another guy on the roster. Right now, Braun Breaker just feels like another guy on the roster. To me. I love Braun Breaker. I didn't love him in NXT. But heel Breaker, the intensity, he has the intensity behind him. Just when the bell rings, man, I feel like he's capable of so much more, and I need it. Give it to me, Braun. Give it to me. Put it inside me. What? But he fortunately did win this time. He's the new Intercontinental Champion. I hope we see a Gunther-esque run from him with this belt. I can't even begin to think who would take it off of him at this point. Maybe Dragunov. I guess he's kind of in the picture, but we'll see. So I'm happy with the result. The match was fine. We got there. Again, that's another theme of this show is the match was fine. We got where we needed to go. That's all that matters. So good on you, Braun. But then we shift to the United States Championship. We got Logan Paul, everybody's favorite, taking on LA Knight. Boy, howdy. Cleveland does not claim Logan Paul, do they? Supposed hometown boy comes out in the colors of Cleveland. Which I'm kind of surprised about. Again, picking nits here again. Logan had to know he was going to get booed by this audience, so why bother trying to pander to him? Like, why not wear, like, Cleveland's rivals colors? The Oilers, right? Dallas Oilers? Texas Oilers? Whatever the hell. Houston Oilers. I don't know. Anyways, LA Knight, Logan Paul. A fun match to watch. Some very scary spots from Logan's standpoint. That moonsault he did to the outside, which is very impressive. But his landing, I don't know how he didn't break his fucking leg on this landing. Go watch this back. His leg touches his back. Like his ass touches his back on this one. It was horrifying. I don't know how he didn't tear an ACL or anything. He just got up like nothing happened. Craziness. And then that top rope fucking brain buster from LA Knight. I'm wondering if that was a bit of a receipt for old Logan Paulski's Twitter escapades over the past few days. All right, this is your payment, brother. This is paying your dues, brother. That's what LA Knight said. Everybody walked out unscathed, as far as I know. So, very hard-hitting match. Probably one of the better LA Knight matches I've seen, honestly. MGK is out there with Logan Paul. I don't know why, but MJF, I feel like Michael Cole. MGK, Machine Gun Kelly, is out there. He's got this like necklace on, which I guess has brass knucks on it, which didn't really come across to me watching it, but I guess it did, according to commentary. MGK is with Logan Paul, because I guess, I don't know, does Cleveland not like Machine Gun Kelly, I guess? So Machine Gun, not Carl Anderson, but Machine Gun Kelly hands these knucks over to Logan, which is how Logan's won like all of his matches. Logan hits LA Knight, but he hits him with like a jab, so it wasn't like a full-on haymaker. It was just like a tick, little jab, just to get separation from LA Knight. Goes for the buckshot lariat, and LA Knight counters that into the BFT for the win. Man, great finish. I loved how they played on, Logan's trying to use the knucks. He's trying to use all of this dastardly stuff that he always uses, but he wasn't able to really take advantage of it in this occasion because LA Knight was so on top of him that he couldn't, rear back and hit him with the big old punch that he always hits him with. And that led to his downfall. So, so LA Knight, thank God. Feels like he's just been spinning his wheels for a bit, but LA Knight finally gets crowned in some capacity, the U.S. champion, which is good. I think LA Knight is a guy that can make that title. He can build on the prestige of it. Logan Paul, he's only defended the title twice in his reign, which has been like a year, right? Didn't he win it last SummerSlam? So LA Knight's obviously going to be around more often. I wouldn't be surprised if he defends it on SmackDown this week. Gives him some credibility, gives him an accolade, something to build on the foundation of all of his confidence, because LA Knight obviously is great on the mic. He has a great character, but at some point it's like, okay, you lose every time the spotlight is on you. At what point am I going to stop believing in you? But fortunately, he was able to quell those worries here. And he's still white hot, by the way. These people online, everybody's like, I feel like there's a segment of people that tune in to WWE just to measure the decibels of the pops into like, oh, he's falling off so hard. Nobody cares about LA Knight anymore. LA Knight, his pops have been just as loud for years at this point. People still love LA Knight. I would argue he might have gotten the biggest pop outside of Roman Reigns, the biggest pop of the night on his entrance. Maybe Cody Rhodes beat him, but he's still white hot. Him as US champion is going to add a very well-needed layer to that show, because lately it's just been the bloodline bullshit and then other stuff. This will add an element. It'll help elevate other people on the roster, like Andrade, like Carmelo Hayes, among others that are kind of looking for things to do, looking for things to chase, and LA Knight will provide that. So very happy with this. And just a good match. Good match. Shout out those guys. And then we shift to the WWE Women's Championship. Bayley versus Nia Jax. So I haven't really... I'll say this. Lately, WWE have kind of been following very loosely. I've been watching some on TV, but a lot of it's been, I've been consuming it through social media. I'll say this before we get into this. The audacity, right? The absolute the gall of Big Brother in the G1 climax. Why do they always happen at the same time? I can't watch anything else because I'm trying to watch every G1 climax match. I'm trying to watch Big Brother. I'm trying to pet my cats and pull my pud. There's only so many minutes in the day that I could do all those things. So unfortunately, my consumption of WWE and AEW programming has suffered. But all that to say that I haven't really been following a lot of the stuff. I know Bayley called Nia reckless and clumsy in a promo. Nia is the queen of the ring. She has a crown. Friends with Tiffany. From what I gather, she made a briefcase for Tiffany, which, by the way, we'll talk about her in a second, but top S-tier briefcase on Tiffany Stratton. The pink briefcase with the strap. Oh my God, it's a purse. Lovely. Love it. I think the only one better is Damien Sandow's briefcase, corporate briefcase, you know what I'm saying? I think it has a name. I don't remember what it is, but other than that, I think Tiffany's has the top tier Money in the Bank briefcase. But match itself, Bayley Nia. Again, it was fun. Maybe the weakest match of the card, honestly, but I think the finish was pretty awesome, though. I will say in this match, I do love the callbacks to their NXT match. I believe it was in London, where Bayley won with a guillotine choke. So she locked that in here to try to win again, but Nia had her scouted this time. So I love those little callbacks. Nia felt like a beast in this match. She's been a beast really since her return. I do love me some Nia Jax. I've been critical of her in the past, but I think since her return, she's really stepped it up a notch, and I've been enjoying her work. I think she looked like a monster in this match. I think she made Bayley look like a monster. We got Bayley throwing out a powerbomb on Nia Jax, walking with her from the corner to the middle of the ring. Hella impressive. When Bayley hit that powerbomb and then followed up with the elbow from the top rope, at that point, that was probably the peak of the show at that point. Great stuff. Fun near fall. But then Tiffany Stratton comes out. You hear her music. She sprints to the ring, which I'm always annoyed when people cash in the middle of matches. It's like, why not wait till the end when they're tired? I don't know. But in this case, it made sense because it was all a ruse. Tiffany was not trying to cash in. She was teasing it to distract Bayley which caused Bailey to try to rush. I guess the story here was like Bailey was trying to end this match quick and then get out of there. So she kind of rushed and was sloppy a little bit and ended up getting hit with 2 power bombs from Nia and 2 annihilators, 2 bonsai drops from Nia to Bailey. New champion, Nia Jax. I've always wanted Nia to incorporate like a power bomb or something into her offense because she always had that shitty little leg drop that ended match. I didn't like it. I think the power bomb annihilator combo is awesome. Really fun finish. The dynamic with the Money in the Bank holder and the champion is interesting. Like, I don't know if we've ever seen like a Money in the Bank holder and the champion be friends before. And it kind of conjures up some, like what's going to happen next. I think it creates some intrigue in this division on SmackDown for the women's title. So I like this. I like where we got. Love the briefcase. Love this is good stuff. Bailey's reign, it's gotten a lot of criticism. I don't know if it's fair to just put it on Bailey. I don't think Bailey is a great babyface without the inflatables and all that shit, right? Like, she was obviously great in NXT as a babyface. But I think her on the mic, I think she just feels more natural as a heel to me. So maybe we get there. Maybe we get back there at some point. But I like Bailey. I've always liked Bailey. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But very interesting. I'm very interested to see how we follow up here. Like, who else is going to be challenging for the women's title outside of Bailey on SmackDown? I can't keep track of who's on what roster. I don't know. It kind of opens it up a little bit. A little hard reset on that title. So I'm fine with it. I'm good with it. And boy, howdy. We get to maybe the most polarizing match of the card. CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre with Seth Rollins as the special guest referee. Boy, there is a lot to say about this match. I will say overall, I liked it. There's people that hated it. There's some people that loved it. I liked it. I thought this was good. What are my criticisms here? Because that's what a podcast is for. We don't say good things about wrestling. We only say bad things. No, I thought it was good. I think the build up to this match has been phenomenal. The very palpable, tangible hatred between these two is felt through the screen. So I love it. Injuries and stuff has kind of gotten us to where we're at, but I think I think we're at a good spot here. It was supposed to be CM Punk and Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. Punk goes down, Drew slides in, and then Punk and Drew start jabbing at each other on the side, but Seth and Punk still don't like each other. Seth and Drew are still going. The whole triangle here between all these three, I think, is great. I love it. Seth as the special guest referee, I think they laid it on a bit too thick in terms of his involvement. Like, obviously he was going to get involved, right? He wasn't just going to be a regular referee and not be a factor. We all knew that. We all knew the SummerSlam 1997 thing was going to happen. CM Punk comes out in his Bret Hart gear. Like, they're not even trying to hide it. They do it like kind of in the middle of this match, right? Where Drew brings the chair into the ring. Seth takes the chair. Drew shoves Seth. Seth goes to swing the chair at Drew. Almost hits Punk, but he stops himself, which, if you're not familiar, that was the 1997 SummerSlam finish when Shawn Michaels hit Bret Hart with the chair when Undertaker got out of the way. I'm sorry. Shawn Michaels hit Undertaker with the chair when Bret Hart got out of the way. So they're playing on that. A lot of the builds up, everybody was predicting that was going to be the finish of this match, so they teased this, I'm guessing, in response to that. Was not the finish, though. Seth's feel like you have this blood feud, right? Between Punk and Drew. They want to kill each other. Drew takes the bracelet that has Punk's wife and dog's name on it. Very personal insults thrown throughout various Raws and social media and all that stuff. How Drew prayed for Punk to get injured. And then he did, and he was rubbing it in his face, and then Punk costs Drew the world title at WrestleMania, embarrasses him again at Money in the Bank and Clash at the Castle. Very heated feud, great build. We get to the match, and it's all about what the fuck is Seth Rollins wearing. Comes on this goofy black and white, I don't even know, like a robe, dress, rest. It's kind of a combination of each, and then he has the sparkly pants with the ref shirt that's bedazzled. Like, we all knew it was going to happen, but I feel like people were anticipating this outfit more than the match, which is interesting, but all in all, I don't think it really got in the way. I don't think the outfit got in the way too much during the actual show. But again, I do think there was too much. I felt like Seth played more of a part in this than either Punk or Drew. Like, it seemed like he was the focal point when I feel like he should have been like the outside factor. But that's just me. That's just how I kind of interpreted it. Some good, they start off, the bell rings. They start trading punches, which capitalizes on the aggression and the animosity that's been built to this point. So I love that. They fight to the outside. They're throwing each other into the steps, and Punk smashes Drew against the steps, and then Drew does the guillotine onto Punk on the ring frame. So good brutality up in here in the beginning. We get in the ring, and then it all starts to break down a little bit. Let's talk about this fucking bracelet for a second. I get it, right? It's CM Punk's bracelet. He has his wife's name on it. He has his dog's name on it. Everything CM Punk loves is on this bracelet. But it's a symbolic bracelet. It's not his actual wife. It's not his actual dog on this bracelet. The bracelet it's not a voodoo bracelet as far as I know. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong on that. It's not a voodoo bracelet where if Drew has it, he gets to smack it around and it sends Larry up into a wall, and then he fucking throws it in the other direction, and AJ he throws her into the street. Like, it's just a fucking symbolic bracelet with their names on it. I get the symbolism. I get the disrespect that CM Punk feels via Drew taking this. I understand the metaphor. I understand the imagery of what it represents. I get it. But gee whiz, did they lay it on thick. CM Punk didn't treat this as a symbolic item. It came off like CM Punk literally was bothered that Drew had the bracelet. Like, it was the literal bracelet that Punk was bothered by. I don't know if my words are like articulating how my problem with this, because Punk has Drew and the Anaconda Vice. He has them here. He might have him beat, but then he sees the bracelet. But Punk knew he had the bracelet. He was surprised when he saw the bracelet. He's like, wait a minute, is that the bracelet? And then he lets go of the Anaconda Vice to get this bracelet. Make him tap him out, choke him out, make him pass out, make him be unconscious, win the match, get the winner's purse, stick it to Drew, and then take the bracelet off of his lifeless carcass. Why do you need it right this second? Like, what the fuck? That's what I mean. It's like, he needs the bracelet itself. That's not about the symbolism. He just needs the literal bracelet. Because if it was symbolism, he could just beat him and then take it off. Like, you thought you had this, but now I have this kind of thing. No, there were several times in the match, and then he goes for a GTS on a Drew, and then he sees that Seth Rollins has it on his wrist. What do you think? What does Punk think that was? He just picked up the bracelet. He was saving it for him. He was doing him a solid. He didn't want anybody to step on it. He didn't want to get kicked into the crowd or whatever the hell. Seth just grabbed it. Now, he could have put it in his pockets, Seth, because God knows he had so many pockets. Go take a look at his pants again. They're not just sparkly pants. They're sparkly cargo pants. Lots of opportunities to put the bracelet in those pockets, but I digress. Punk has him in this GTS and he sees Seth with the bracelet. He just drops Seth. He just drops Drew again. Because he needs the bracelet? He's a fucking idiot. CM Punk came off looking like an idiot in this match. I enjoyed the match overall, but the bracelet shit just, it was too much. It was too literal. It wasn't about the symbolic nature of what the bracelet represented. It was just about Punk wanting the actual thing on his wrist more than anything. That's how it came off, at least. So I didn't love how the bracelet was involved in this match. I get what they were trying to do. I just didn't think it was done well. Because the first time, he takes the bracelet off of Drew and then he gets the Claymore and it's a 2 count. So there's some good near falls in this match. Punk hits the GTS, but this is after Seth is wiped out by Drew. So Seth is in the ring late to make the count. So it's only a 2 count. And then Punk and Seth start jawing with each other. And then Seth is like, it's not always about you, asshole. And then Punk gives Seth the GTS, takes the bracelet off his wrist, which I feel like he could have just asked for the bracelet and Seth would have just given it to him. I don't know. But this allows, because Seth is down. So now Drew hits the low blow into Punk, hits the Claymore, gets the win, and takes the bracelet back. So I actually lied earlier when I said Seth was the biggest part of this match. It's not true. It was the fucking bracelet. The bracelet was by far the focal point of this match. It wasn't Seth. It wasn't Punk. It wasn't Drew. It's all about the bracelet, guys. Again, a very polarizing match. A lot of people thought it was too hokey and too quote unquote sports entertainment-y. Some people have a real problem with dialogue in matches too, which is just weird. Who cares? It's fucking wrestling. It happens. It's always happened. It's cool. It's fun. When done well, it's fun. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for the most part in this match. I just think the laid on a little too thick with the bracelet stuff, but otherwise I thought it was a good match. And this is definitely not over because Drew still has the bracelet. How many times can I say bracelet in one episode? Drew still has the bracelet. Punk and Seth still have animosity, obviously. So it didn't seem like anything was resolved here. It seemed like it was just furthering this feud. I don't know where we go from here. I feel like we got to get to Punk and Seth at WrestleMania at some point, but there's a long time in between now and then. We got Bad Blood coming up in October, I think, right? Which I'm assuming is only an assumption because October used to be the month for Hell in a Cell. And I don't believe Hell in a Cell is on the calendar anymore. Seems like they scrapped it, thank God. But Bad Blood is back, and Bad Blood is probably mostly known for the first ever Hell in a Cell. Not only that, I think, 03, right? No, 03 Bad Blood was Kevin Nash and Triple H in Hell in a Cell, right? Let me make sure I have that right. Bad Blood 2003. Yeah, it was Hell in a Cell with Nash and Triple H, and then 04 Bad Blood was Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and Hell in a Cell. So Bad Blood has like always been the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. So one would assume that this Bad Blood would also have a Hell in a Cell match, what deserves it more than CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre? Or do they make it a 3-way? Just have a triple threat in Hell in a Cell. Do they make it like Punk versus Seth with Drew as the special guest referee? I don't know. But I feel like that's what we're going. I don't know how we get there, but I'm here for the ride. This is a feud where I'm fine not knowing where we're going because the ride is going to be entertaining. Some of the best stuff on WWE programming is everything involved here. So we also got War Games coming up, which I don't know if there's going to be implications there. I assume War Games is probably going to be saved for the Bloodline story. But just another thing to consider. But yeah. Cliff notes, TLDR, too much bracelet, but was good. But we got a world heavyweight title match to talk about, everybody. We got the champion Damian Priest defending against Gunther. King of the Ring, Gunther. The King General. Can we stop with the fucking nicknames revolving around like King of the Ring and Money in the Bank. Senor Money in the Bank, enough. Tiffy in the Bank, shut up. They're the Money in the Bank winner, okay? But we got Gunther versus Damian Priest. I knew right away when this match started that this is going to be awesome. The pace that they established in the beginning, the strikes. Because Damian Priest can fucking hang with Gunther, man. If you don't believe me, look at Gunther's chest. Split wide open from those chops from Damian. This is awesome. I hope we get more matches between these two, because this was great. Really hard-hitting stuff. Just kind of, fun back and forth stuff between these two. Like, not really much to say about the match itself, other than I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the urgency shown by both guys. I thought their styles meshed really well, both like kind of similar builds. So it was a fun, visually, it was a fun match to watch. There is I don't know. It ended up not bothering me that much, but the goofy fucking lime green straight talk wireless ads all over the place, all over the ring, the barricades, the ring apron, the tickers all around the arena, just bright green bullshit. And it ended up, I didn't care that much, but it was just like, come on, guys, can we make it a little more subtle? Also, the match, like I said, the crowd's kind of taken out of it for some of it, because a big chunk of the crowd can't see the match because of the bright lights, and then they turn it off, and then the crowd's popping randomly because they turn the lights off, and Gunther's like, what happened? So that kind of threw a monkey wrench in the whole thing. But again, the focal point here isn't necessarily the people in the match. It's more so about Finn Balor. So the Judgment Day is in shambles here. Dominic Mysterio turned on Rhea. Now we see backstage segments leading up to this match, and it seems like nobody knew what Dom was going to do. They're all looking for him. I couldn't find him. I think he left. Gee, I don't know. I tried looking for him, Damian, I promise. Finn and Damian kind of start yapping at each other. They're getting a little hostile earlier in the show, and then Finn looks for Dom, and then he comes back, and then they mend fences. They apologize. Everything's good in the hood, bro. Finn's like, look, I know you don't need me, but if you need me, just say the word. I'm there for you. Damian's like, all right. He never said he needed him, by the way. But Finn's like, no, I think you might need me. So Finn comes out there midway through this match. Now I'm watching this. Obviously, I feel like it's obvious that Finn was going to fuck over Damian. It was just a matter of how. But maybe they swerve. Maybe Finn doesn't. Maybe he just doesn't play a part in this. Or maybe he helps Damian. Who knows? I was watching this with my wife. My wife was on the couch. She was watching this. Her theory, which got the gears moving in my head. My wife's theory watching this was that maybe Finn is going to get in the ring and kiss Gunther. And then Finn and Gunther walk out together hand in hand, causing Damian to feel distraught, to have a lot of feelings, which could have added many layers to this. This did not happen. Not yet, at least. So maybe we're building to that. I don't know. But no, Gunther ends up kicking Finn by accident, which would lead you to believe that Finn might try to retaliate. I was kind of anticipating Finn gets involved, causes a disqualification, which I was dreading the thought of that. But and like maybe they crown Gunther at Bash at Berlin. Like, I thought that might happen. I did not want that to happen. Strike when the iron is hot here. And they did. Another turn that wasn't executed great, but where we got is fine. So Damian, he hits one of his moves. I think it was the South of Heaven or the Powerbomb or whatever the hell. But he hits it in the middle of the ring. And the idea is that Damian's going to pin Gunther, but Finn puts Gunther's foot on the ropes, which is what happened. But the way we got there, because Gunther landed in the middle of the ring, and then he didn't roll to the ropes, so Damian had to like kind of roll him to the ropes, and it made it look really bad. But whatever, we get the Finn turn. Finn puts Gunther's foot on the ropes, which steals the win away from Damien. And then Finn's little grimace at Damien. He just looks like a character out of Lord of the Rings. He just looks like a fucking goblin out there. Just a like he looks like he makes that noise. Which he kind of does sometimes. And Damien, he's pissed, obviously. He's distracted. Gunther takes advantage. At one point, Damien even hits a move, and then instead of pinning Gunther, he like lunges for Finn and grabs his throat. That was good. That was good, but this allows Gunther to finally lock in the choke, following a powerbomb or two, some lariats. And Gunther chokes out Damien. Damien does not tap. He passes out. And we have a new world heavyweight champion, Gunther. Fucking awesome, baby. Come on. About goddamn time. The ring general is champion. I loved the drama at the end of this match, by the way. The sleeper, because he had the sleeper on, but then Damien rolled back for a pin. It was all great. This whole match was great. The beginning, the middle, the end. Great stuff between these two. New champion, Gunther. Who knows when he's going to lose that title, but I'm here for the ride. Let's replicate that IC title reign, buddy. Let's just start knocking fools out left and right. Establish dominance. The ring is sacred, Gunther. Love it. Love it. But probably the bigger story is the Judgment Day is in shambles. Not only is Dominic turned on Rhea, but now you have Finn turning on Damien. So now do we have just like two versions of the Judgment Day? My wife also, she had another great idea because she was just piling on the great ideas, the great theories. She thinks that maybe there's going to be a Judgment Day and then a plaintiff afternoon. To quote her, she said, like a judgment case. There's a plaintiff and a defendant. So it's a plaintiff after. So, the humor is obviously shared between us. So, we'll see if that comes to fruition, but some sort of Judgment Day Civil War. I don't know how I feel about both Raw and SmackDown having interfaction Civil Wars at the same time. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Oh, then Jelly Roll's here. I'll tell you this. Austin Theory is going to have a job for life if he wants it with WWE because he sold this goddamn chokeslam from Jelly Roll like it was Kane chokeslamming Taka Michinoku in 1999. It was fucking crazy the height he got on that. Fun little segment, like awesome truths out there. A-Town Down Unders. Aye, mate, this town sucks, eh? And Jelly Roll gets in there. He's the star. He had a concert in the beginning of the show, which is fine. Chair shots. I actually kind of enjoyed this for what it was. It was a fun little let-up period in between the main event matches. Big fan of the Roll. Shout out Jelly Roll. But then we get to the main event, folks. Cody Rhodes, Sauceless Sikoa. For the WWE Universal Heavyweight. Are we still calling it the Universal title, by the way? It's the WWE Championship. Let's just call it the WWE Championship. Cody Rhodes defending against Sauceless Sikoa. Bloodline rules. So we all knew how this match was going to shake up. But before we get into it, let me just say, I goddamn hate Solo's boots. I understand, like, did he get a foot injury or something? It's like, put on some shoes, protect your feet, protect you from injury. I get it. But I also don't, because he sucks with boots. It's like when they put boots on Rusev. Like, his whole thing was barefoot. It's like if you were to put boots on Matt Riddle. It's like you're taking away the whole thing. Shed the boots, Solo. I don't care what they're telling you. Just get out there, take them off. What are they going to do? Fire you? Because they're just like big, chunky boots. They're like Chris Jericho boots with his shorts. the shorts to boots combo just doesn't look good. It looks very cheap. You look like a fucking shitty indie wrestler. Like not like indie wrestlers are shitty. I'm saying like within the indie scene, you're a shitty indie wrestler. You're like the tune-up, like if you're playing like a career mode in WWE 2K, you're like the guy that it's like your first match, just to kind of warm up against. Like they don't pose much of a threat. That's what Solo looks like with his fucking dead turf grass hair. His flat fucking Neapolitan stupid blonde mohawk bullshit. This dude just looks like a shitty little kid, Solo. I don't feel menaced. I don't feel threatened by Solo Sikoa. If I saw him on the street, I would fucking bean dip his little titties and slap him across the face. Dude's a little bitch. The word aura is vastly overused in this community. I can't think of another way to describe it. This dude has no aura. None. Aura. No aura. Aura. What? Aura? No aura. He's got no sauce, as the kids say. Sauceless. Sauceless Solo. Sauceless Sikoa. That's what this man is. It's like if you got like McDonald's without sauces, like McDonald's nuggets with no sauce. They're worthless. McDonald's nuggets fucking suck. But you get it for the sweet and sour, which makes it delicious. This Solo Sikoa is like nuggets with no sweet and sour. Nobody likes that. Nobody likes that. Match kind of sucked too. Like this is another match where it's like we're just waiting for the run-ins, which is kind of what Cody and Roman was. But Cody and Roman at WrestleMania had a really good match before the run-ins. This one, didn't really care. Nobody thought Solo was going to win, and even if he was, it wasn't going to happen until all the shenanigans came into play. I think going into the show, the question was, does Roman come back, or does The Rock come back, or do they both come back? Those were the questions. It wasn't, is Cody going to beat Solo? It wasn't, is Solo going to beat Cody? Similar to Liv and Rhea earlier in the show. This was all about the shenanigans at the end. So who cares about the match, really, leading up to it? I said it was a bad match. It wasn't a bad match. It was just a fine match. It was fine. But beyond the bloodline behind him, I don't feel like Solo is a threatening. He hasn't like won a singles match. Unless he's won one on SmackDown. But there was like a stretch of like a year where he didn't win a singles match. He like beat John Cena and then went like 0-38 after that. Like he's not like a top guy. He just isn't a top guy. This was like, I think the barometer to see if he would be a top guy going forward. I don't think he's there. I just don't think he's there. I think this Bloodline Civil War ends pretty quickly. I think War Games is where Solo, it's kind of make or break for him. Because I think WrestleMania is going to be all about Roman and Rock. Where does Solo fall into it? Well, I feel like he better step it up if he wants to remain in that picture, personally. But the match happens, and then we get the run-ins. Bloodline gets in there. Tama and Tongaloa and Tama Tonga. Tongaloa, man. This dude can't do anything. His one spot in this whole thing was spearing Cody into the corner, and he fucking missed the corner. He did it very softly. It looked like shit. He has a dumb eye patch. Him and Tama do have the slick-looking, like, Crossroads, but like an elevated version. Or all Tongaloa has to do is hold Cody's feet, so he didn't fuck that up, unfortunately. Or fortunately. But they get disposed of by RKO. Randy Orton, Kevin Owens come out. They shit can. Randy Orton is just happy to be there. He was in no rush to get to the ring, by the way. He's high-fiving people. He's taking selfies with the fans running to the ring. Quote-unquote running. I think Kevin Owens could have lapped him. That's just to say how slow Randy got to the ring. But whatever, they take out the Gorillas of Destiny. They take him out. Then Jacob Fatu gets in there, which, by the way, I don't know if anybody caught this. because I was watching this match, right? Again, my wife's next to me. She's chiming in again, everybody. So it's Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, the Gorillas of Destiny. They're in the ring. They're tussling. Solo and Cody are in there. Then she hears a sound, which sounded like a heartbeat on the speakers, like in the arena. And she was like, does anybody's entrance theme have a heartbeat to it? And I was like, I don't think so. I guess like the Demon did, but he wouldn't be coming out here. Maybe like a Taz or like nobody that made sense would come out. I was like, I don't think there was a heartbeat. And she was like, okay, I'm pretty sure I heard something. But then I heard it. Then it happened a second time, and I heard it this time. It was, you know what it was? It was the fucking mics under the ring were rustling. We're getting knocked over, I think, because stupid Jacob Fatu was under there. He had to crawl from under the ring, knocking over mics. I think after that, the mic wasn't really mic'd up, or the ring wasn't really mic'd up, right? So like moves were happening, and you didn't really hear the impact. It's because the stupid Samoan werewolf was just savage, fucking chewing on microphones down. I don't know what he was doing, but go rewatch it if you didn't catch. You can hear him coming out from under the ring, basically. Because if you don't know, the rings are mic'd up. That's why you can hear everything. Just in case you didn't know. But Jacob Fatu, he emerges from Hornswoggle's lair, gets into the ring, shits on everybody, super kicks all around, takes out Randy, takes out Kevin Owens, sets up Cody on the announce table, goes to the top rope in the ring, splash from the ring through the announce table through Cody Rhodes. Now, I am recording this on a Monday afternoon, morning, whatever the fuck. As of right now, I have not gotten there's not been any confirmation, because Jacob Fatu hit the splash and immediately started grabbing his ankle, signifying that he injured his ankle. Now, to me, this totally felt like a work. Like, I'm not, but as of recording this right now, and I could be wrong, I'm not convinced that this wasn't a work. Why? Because Jacob Fatu essentially took himself out of the equation. They're keeping this dude strong. Nobody's going to come in there and take out Jacob Fatu. Not right now. So this was the method in taking out Fatu from the equation. Because ultimately Roman Reigns comes out and he fucking causes the finish. We're not gonna have Roman just shit can Jacob Fatu, this guy that we've been building, this monster. So I'm very convinced that it was a work, and it was just him. He happened to injure his ankle on the splash, quote unquote. Even like the dialogue, like Jacob was yelling at Solo, like, "All right, it's you now. You get in there," or whatever he said. Like, it was very like melodramatic, and it felt like a work completely to me. Again, I could be wrong. I did see something about somebody said that there was photos of Jacob Fatu in a boot. Let me research this and see if that's true. Because even if so, okay, yeah, is he in like a 7-Eleven or some shit? He could be just selling the injury again. I don't know if he came out during like the press conference or if there was like a backstage, whatever the hell, recorded, but I'm sure that's just selling the injury. I don't think he's injured. I'm not convinced. Again, I could be wrong, but nothing that happened on the show suggested to me that this injury was legit, because it all played into the story. It took Fatu out of the picture. Then you get Roman. Roman Reigns comes out to a huge ovation, biggest reaction of the night, as expected. Comes to the ring, Superman punched Solo. They didn't mess about. They didn't, oh, Solo, are we still together? Are we not? Nope, it's just boosh. Cocks his fist, loads it up, Superman to Solo. With the big ooh-ah spear to Solo Sikoa. Cody Rhodes takes advantage. Crossroads to Solo Sikoa. Retains his WWE title. You get a little bit of acknowledgement from Roman to Cody and vice versa. Maybe a little sign of respect between the two. And so yeah, Cody retains, and now we got the Bloodline Civil War in full effect here. You got Roman back. You gotta assume Jimmy's gonna come back soon. You gotta think Paul Heyman's gonna come back soon. Maybe they recruit Jay because he's not really doing much on Raw, so I'm sure he'll be a factor in War Games. Maybe even Sami Zayn. You know, no more IC title for him. So what's he doing? Bring him over. Got Hikuleo somewhere in the bowels of the arena. He's somewhere. An endless stream of Fatus waiting to just get involved in this. So who knows? But that's I like being there. I like being in the who knows kind of camp as far as what's going to happen with this story. But I will say, I hope that Cody is done with this bloodline stuff. Like, I think at some point, I think they still got loose ends to tie up with Cody and Rock. But I hope for the most part, Cody separates himself from this bloodline story because he feels like a supporting cast member in the Bloodline movie when he should be the lead actor in the WWE Championship movie. He did some good stuff with AJ. He played his role well in this Bloodline stuff. And I think it's done a good job in solidifying him as champion. He feels like he's doing all the interviews, all the meet and greets. He looks like a champion. He smells like a champion. He's got the shoes of a champion. Like, he's a champ. He's been a champion since long before he had the title, right? So his reign so far has been a success, as far as I'm concerned. But I think we can build on it. A lot of guys we can elevate, a lot of different flavors we can add to this. I think a feud between Cody and Randy is inevitable. I wouldn't be shocked if Randy Orton beat him for the title. I wouldn't be shocked. Give me Randy Orton versus John Cena for the WWE title at WrestleMania 41. I'm all for it. But that's a long game. Who knows? You could just have Randy beat Cody and then Cody beats him a month later. You might not have Randy beat him at all. I don't know. But that's where we sit now, is there's just like an anything can happen kind of vibe to the company. Like I said, it was kind of like a hard reset. A lot of new champions, a lot of storyline pivots, a lot of things getting tied up, a lot of things starting, a lot of different ways we can go. So overall, with that being said, I think SummerSlam was a solid show from that standpoint. I think SummerSlam was a way better show, like looking at it in a macro standpoint, like looking where it's set up the company to go forward and what it accomplished within the show. I think it's better to look. I think the show is very good if you look at it from that point of view. I think the show was just fine to good if you're looking at it from the match quality standpoint. I don't know if these words make sense, but somebody knows what I'm talking about out there, hopefully. So overall, good stuff from SummerSlam. Figured I'd come on here. I think I'm going to spend more time talking about the current product. Because as of now, I come up maybe like once a quarter and give my thoughts on stuff. But I think I'm going to start doing it a little bit more often. Just because I have a lot of thoughts. And God knows I don't like fucking Twitter as a cesspool. So I'm posting less and less on there because it is just a diarrhea sandwich, that app. So I'll just talk into this microphone and some people will listen instead. But with that, that's about all I got for you guys today. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Love you, love you, love you. If you like retro wrestling, I got a lot of that on this show too. Whether it's the Monday Night Wars, whether it's the golden eras of Ring of Honor and TNA, or whether it's indie stuff like Progress Wrestling, Ruthless Aggression era, Attitude era, I do it all. Go to apronbump.com for all my full episodes. Obviously, you can check it out wherever you listen to podcasts, as well as YouTube. If you're on YouTube, I got several playlists chronicling the various timelines that I cover chronologically on this podcast. So you can go to different playlists, or you can go to apronbump.com, go to the episodes tab and select whatever timeline or era you would like to listen to me gallivants with various podcasts and wrestlers and other personalities. So do that. Give the video a like, a subscribe, give the podcast a rating, a 5-star rating, a review, a thumb in my belly button, and do all of that. With that, I'll love you. I'll leave you. Appreciate you guys. I'm hard.
It's the hardest. Talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what heart is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started. It's the hardest. Talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what heart is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it.